Welcome back to the C23 Labs channel. I'm Mushin, the co-founder of C23 Labs, and over the past 3 years, I've spoken to over 2,000 tattoo artists about their social media marketing, business, and sales skills. This is the last video of a 6-part series on social media marketing for tattoo artists. So if you haven't checked out the first 5 videos, highly recommend you check it out. And before watching this video, it's going to give you a lot more context on the contents and strategies in this video. If you've already watched those 5, thank you very much and enjoy this last video. Let's train. All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can transition to the sales conversation now from your content. So you should be at a point now where you've researched content, you've studied your saved reels, you've come up with ideas, you've tested multiple things, you've posted a couple of times now, you have good feedback, you've gotten good feedback from some of these specific pieces of content you've made. And now you're kind of at the point where, okay, I have a good audience on social media, I have good engagement. How can I now convert this audience, this engagement, these follows into actual clients? So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can transition to the sales conversation. So the main analogy I'm going to use here throughout this video is what's called the give to ask ratio, which was coined by, I believe, Alex Hormozi, and it stems from what Gary Vee used to say, which is jab, jab, right hook. Basically, what it means is you want to give more value and, engagement, entertainment, etc. in your content more than you ask for something in return, right? That's why it's called the give to ask ratio. So you want to give way, way more than you ask. And what Gary Vee said is jab, jab, right hook, right? Which is basically jab meaning give, and then ask. But usually the less you ask and the more you give, the more powerful your ask is when you do ask, and the more people are receptive to that sales conversation after they've received more value from you and from your content. So this concept has actually, of course, been studied by, real media companies too, especially on TV. There's a reason why TV commercials show up at the times that they do, right? Because with TV commercials, the goal is to make as much money as possible, right? To show as many ads as possible without actually losing viewership, right? So they're going to calculate what is the maximum amount of ads I can show the audience watching the TV without them clicking off from being annoyed at how many ads they're seeing. And what they found is the ratio was about, I think, 3.6 to 1. So that's basically the cap for you guys as well to understand too, right? 3 to 1 is the absolute max that people can ask for, which is quite high in particular. And on that note, in terms of Facebook as well, when you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, you usually see an ad every 5 posts. So that's a 5 to 1 ratio. Okay, so Facebook and Instagram, of course, have also calculated this to a certain extent. How can we show as many ads without losing people on our platform? But remember, this is the absolute max. Okay, these are the absolute max ratios. You want to have a ratio that's much, much lower than that. And the reason you want to have it much lower, but of course you still have to ask, is because of reciprocity. So reciprocity is a psychological concept. Once again, it's a tendency for people to feel or have the need to return a favor or gesture when they receive something valuable, even if it was unsolicited, right? That's why a lot of car salesmen, once again, they give you a coffee or offer you a coffee in the car shop because it has a higher likelihood of you buying a car in the future because of that subconscious reciprocity. Okay, they're not doing it because they are nice. Or maybe some of them are doing it because they're nice. But for the most part, it's a form of tactical reciprocity. Okay, so when you're making really valuable content, you're engaging with your followers, you're talking to them, and you're not asking for the sale, you're building up that reciprocity. So when you do ask, people really feel obligated to give in return and to not be put off by the ask as well. And obviously, the better your ratio is, the more your ask packs a punch, if that makes sense. And as well, when you ask too much, you kind of affect your brand as well. So you want to make sure you have, you focus on brand over everything, which is building up that good relationship and good trust with your audience. So on that note, then you understand the give to ask ratio. So give the value much more than you ask. So how do you actually ask? So the first thing is, well, where to ask. Before we get into how to actually ask, let's get into where to ask. So on that note, I would avoid having the ask in the reel itself. So midway through the reel, you have, by the way, DM me to book or whatever. It's going to affect the value that people get from the reel. So you want to have your asks either in your caption, right? Or in your pinned comment as well. Or you have an ask every 10 reels. For example, you make 9 reels that are purely value based. They talk about your experience with a client. They show a finished piece. They talk about how you came up with an idea or a style, etc. And then on the 10th reel that you post, it's just a purely sales based reel, right? Hey, I am available here, la la la. And that is going to have a good give to ask ratio. That's a 10-to-1 give to ask ratio, which is good. What you can also do as well, which are called soft call to action. So remember, a call to action is just you calling out the next action a client needs to take to become closer to buying. Okay. So what I would do is I would have your ask, right? So transitioning to the sale, have your ask in every single reel, but just in the caption and the pinned comment. Therefore, in the reel itself, they take in all of the value that that reel gives them, right, and information that it gives them without being sold to. And then there's a soft call to action in the corner that people can click on if they see it. Okay. And that's how you can sneak in those asks in every single reel without it actually being inside the video, and which can break people's disruptive patterns, of course. Okay. So we want to make sure our reels, for the most part, just give all of the value. And then we have our call to actions or our asks in these small little places. Okay. And then, of course, you could have a reel that is solely just an ask, right? So a sales conversation, saying, hey, I'm available these dates, I'm in the city, etc. You could have that once every 10 or 15 reels, and it's not going to affect your brand. And remember as well, with hook, retain, reward, you still want to follow that in your sales reels as well. Okay. So for example, hey, are you in New York City and you've been looking for a microrealism artist, but you haven't found anyone that resonates with you, right? You do a hook and then you introduce yourself and then you have your call to action at the end. You still want to follow that because it's going to get more views organically and naturally if you follow that hook, retain, reward. So remember, treat your sales videos like every other video. They need to have structure. They need to touch on a certain fear or a certain hesitation or a certain topic that's going to hook people in, especially with your sales conversations, really. And if those reels do very well, there's a high chance you could convert them into a paid ad in the future as well. So just note as well to follow the hook, retain, reward, broad, narrow, niche structure when it comes to making kind of sales based reels too. Okay. And then once again, as I mentioned, pinning the comment. So you can say, by the way, link in bio to book an appointment, whatever. You can pin your own comment in every single reel. It's not going to have an effect on your brand. As well, what you can do in the caption, for example, is if you want to book with me, la la la. And those are really soft call to actions. I highly recommend them every single reel. It's not going to affect your brand. People can take in the whole reel and not feel like they're being sold to. Also, there's another term coined by, I believe, Alex Hormozy as well. Highly recommend you check out Alex Hormozy if you don't know who he is. He's a great business teacher and businessman. But he always says as well, give in public, ask in private, which I really like too. So for example, all of your reels are just purely valuable based, information based, building up that brand reputation and, closing that knowledge gap that your audience has in terms of the knowledge they need to make an informed decision. And then also be asking in private. So all of your new followers that come in, be reaching out to them saying, hey, thank you so much for the follow. What content made you follow in particular so I can make more of it, and just starting those conversations, not asking for the sale as well, but just starting those conversations, planting the seed. And then you'll actually see, if you don't really ask and you just listen to the client and have a genuine conversation with them, the conversation will, of course, naturally transition to a sales conversation about a tattoo. Okay. And why did you follow in particular? Oh, I really like this reel that you did, or I saw this testimonial with this client who explained the exact same fear or hesitation I had and how you overcame that. And I actually resonate with the design he did as well. And you say, okay, cool. Did do you have a design in particular that's similar? Yeah, of course I have, la la la, and I want it for the same reason. Okay, cool. And why haven't you gotten this idea before? And now you're into a sales conversation where you can transition that initial, hey, thanks for the follow, what made you reach out, what type of content, into a potential booking. Okay. And it's also going to give you that feedback on what type of content is getting you the most follows and getting you the most engagement, and especially what type of content is getting you the most followers who have the highest chance of becoming a client as well. Okay. So give them public, ask them private. I like that term a lot. Okay, another thing as well on that note is testimonials. Testimonials basically answer so many of the underlying questions that a lot of potential clients have. So what you'll find as well with testimonials, they will just spark people to reach out or take an action without you even asking as well. So that's why I love testimonials so much, because you're literally touching on the smallest last piece of information or underlying fear, right, internal hesitation that a potential client has by seeing someone else who is similar to them in maybe age, demographic, and interests, who have the same fear as them and a similar idea, go to you and have a great time and be really happy with the outcome. That testimonial, that client in that testimonial video does the selling for you. So the more testimonials you make, the more people you'll have reach out. It's proven. I've seen it a million times before. So highly recommend making testimonial videos. And there's of course a whole other video in this roadmap purely just on social proof and testimonials, because it's such an important topic, where I break down exactly how to make the best testimonial video. Okay, so on that note, let's just recap about all the different ways that you can ask, how to ask, and where to ask. So number one is, of course, pinning a comment with a call to action, and also having it in your caption, PS if you want to book with me, etc. And of course, having a link in your bio to your website, or written in your bio, you say DM me to discuss your ideas. Okay, if you take your inquiries through DMs. So that's number one. Number two is messaging your new followers. Okay, so remember, hey, thank you for the follow. Quick question: what made you follow in particular? What type of content made you follow? So I know what to make more of. And then slowly having that conversation with loads of people and seeing the ones that transition into a conversation that talks about a potential tattoo. And actually, a quick speed tip on this: you can actually save reply templates on Instagram. So what I'll do is I'll go into my phone here and show you this now. Okay, so I'm in my phone here. You'll see the phone recording on the screen somewhere. And I'm in my messages here on the C23 Lab app, for example. So what you can do is you can actually click on the three dots here at the top right. Then you can click Tools, and then you can click Saved Reply. Okay, and then on Save Reply, you can actually create a new Save Reply with a shortcut that will show up every time you're talking to someone. Okay, so for example, let's say you have people that ask about your consultation process all the time. What I can do is consultation as a shortcut, and then should not contain white spaces. Let me just go back. And then I can say, usually I do a Zoom consultation to understand you and your idea better, etc., whatever. Just showing you an example here. And then I can save that save reply. Okay, so then when I go back in here, and let's say I'm talking to Bashak here, and I go consultation, I can click that and it comes up. So if someone's asking me, then I could say, hey Bashak, and then I could send that. Okay, so that's how you can save loads of different replies for each thing. Okay, so if I go back to tools here, saved reply, and then let's say, hey name, I would love to give you a price for this design, for this idea. I just need to ask you 2 quick questions to give you the most accurate one. Okay, and then for example, if I save that, so someone says how much for this, right, which we get all the time, I can go pricing. Okay, and then I could say, by the way, this is a beautiful idea. How did you come up with this, right? And I could even save that one as well, because that would be my go-to reply to people asking for the price, as you've probably seen in other sales videos. So if I go to save reply, I could say like price, let's say if I did price 2, maybe, by the way, this is a beautiful idea. You get the point. If I save that and then I go back in here and I was to go price 2, yeah, perfect. Okay, so that's how you can save loads of different replies to make your life easier. So for example, you would have, one more time here, you would have new follower, right? So you could say follower, hey, thank you for the follow, what content made you reach out, etc. You get the point. Okay, so you would save those replies. Every time you get a new follower, I would come in here, okay, this person just followed me. I could then message this person, right? And then I could search up like the follow, for example, it would have the save reply. So that's how you can start conversations very easily and very quickly. Another thing as well to note is there's another tip here. You might get a lot of message requests. Obviously usually from non-followers, it's going to be spam or whatever, but sometimes you get a lot of new people that follow you and then reach out. And if it goes to your message request, you don't see it as often. So what you can do is click the 3 dots here, go to tools and go to message controls. And you can actually go to your followers on Instagram don't receive requests. Okay, so that would be message requests from people who follow you on Instagram will be delivered to your message request folder unless you choose not to receive them. So they will go straight to your main folder. Okay, continuing on, others on Instagram, for example, message requests, right? So people who don't follow me, for example. Okay, so that's how you can turn off the Bashak's, I'm confusing Bashak here, but that's how you can turn off your message requests for existing followers so that it comes straight into your main DMs, so you see them quicker. Of course, if you get a lot of spam when you do this, you just turn it back off. That's no problem. But just another quick tip on how you can get more of your initial inquiries and see them quicker. Okay, because obviously speed to the inquiry, the fastest artist is going to win all the time. Okay, the next tip on transitioning to the ask is engaging with your comments. Okay, so read your comments. Also read the comments of the saved reels that you have to see what people liked, disliked, etc., what comments they had on that reel in particular. And just reply to all of your comments in detail and then ask a follow-up question. Keep that conversation going in the comments, right? Nurture your existing audience, which increases the engagement on it too, right? It might get shown to more people. Okay, so engage with all of your comments. And also you can make extra content like stories, etc., answering your frequently asked questions in your comments too. Okay, where you have the screenshot of the comment in the story and you're talking on the screen about that answer, or that question in particular and the answer to that. Okay, so that shows that you're listening, you're engaging with your existing audience, you care about what they're saying, what they're asking, and you're closing that knowledge gap that people need to make a decision, right? Because if people are asking questions in the comments, they are the type of questions that people need the answers to in order to become a client. So you can make stories, once again, answering your comments as well. Another tip as well is your 3 pinned posts on Instagram. I would have your first post that introduces you, who you are, what you do, why you fell in love with tattooing, etc., and how to book with you. Okay, that's your sales pitch post, but that is the forefront of your profile. So all of the other reels that bring people to your profile, they will get hit with that sales reel every time. So I would have that as your pinned post. I would also have certain highlights, okay, on how to book, testimonials, healed work, etc., which are other soft asks too. Okay, and then in your other 2 pinned reels, I would also have something that is either very information based as well, okay, or your most engaged and saved and shared 2 reels, because if you pin them, it means everyone else from all of your other reels comes on, sees those pieces of content, that boosts those reels up way more, which in turn get more viewership on all of your other reels as well. For example, with C23 Labs, sometimes we have a week, 2 week, 3 weeks where a lot of our reels don't get as many views and as many follows, etc. But then we have one reel that does extremely well. And then for the next 2-3 weeks, just because of that one reel, all of our other content gets exponentially more views. Like, it's crazy. For 1, 2, 3 weeks, even we've seen a month after, just by having 1 or 2 reels that have done really well in the future. So some of our reels that we posted months ago start to pick up traction because we're getting all of this new audience that are going down and then realizing, oh, this is actually a really good reel too, and then it's getting putting back in the algorithm, which is amazing. Okay, so that's really important too. Once again, with the give to ask ratio, stories don't pack as much of a punch in terms of taking in your content. So asking on stories once a week or twice a week is not going to hurt whatsoever as well. Just like, hey, by the way, I'm available these dates or whatever, link to your website or anything. And then also even asking questions and doing polls on your stories to get feedback and give you more questions that people have to reply to and to make content on, which is going to close that knowledge gap, remember, so that when you do ask the next time, they're going to be more informed and more ready to make a buying decision. Okay, so if you take your inquiries through forms on your website, you want to make sure that you have your website linked in the bio. I would highly recommend even just linking it straight to the form page on your website. It's going to get you more forms. And by the way, as well, if you don't have a really good website and you're doing this, you're basically tripping at the finish line because you've built up all of this trust and you have this cohesive aesthetic on Instagram and in your content. And then when they go and see the website, it's all over the place. It's flunky. It's not very pretty. You're affecting yourself there. So I would highly recommend making sure you have a really good website. Once again, a whole website masterclass is in the business and client roadmap. And also, if you want me to review your website, you can send it to me in the platform. Okay, so remember the planted call to actions. Website in your bio, or DM me to discuss your idea in your bio. Then you've got your pinned comment has a call to action. You've got your caption that has a call to action. And then 1 every 10 reels, you can have purely sales. You have your pinned reels at the top. And you have your highlights that also have call to actions and transitions to the sale. And you're following all your new followers, you're messaging them and starting conversations. Okay, those are loads of different ways you can start conversations. Even asking in stories as well, I forgot, where you can start conversations with your existing audience and slowly transition into a sales conversation. Remember, have patience with this. Just get talking to your people and to your audience, because what that's going to do is it's going to speed up that process from them knowing you from your tattoos and your profile, to knowing you as a human, to then trusting you with a tattoo as well. Okay. And you'll find it's very natural. You don't have to force the ask, but you do have to start conversations. And you also don't want to be too shy and not ask at all, because if you don't ask at all, you're not going to make any money as a tattoo artist, and that's not good. So yeah, basically, just to wrap this video up, because I'm kind of repeating myself here, at a fundamental level, you just want to be starting conversations. It just makes you tangible, right? It makes you from a profile to a human. It makes you real and approachable. You know, you kind of go from a figment of their imagination, okay, this is just this random profile, to like a tangible human that has entered their kind of bubble, you know, so they now know you as someone who is in their life. Once they've spoken to you as a human, you know, you become more tangible and you're not kind of just this figment. And what you'll find as well is if you make very informative content and you make very valuable content, a lot of your audience will look up to you quite a lot from your content, and they might see you as kind of an authoritative figure. So they will greatly appreciate too when they have the chance to talk with you as well, if you've done this really well. And once again, the number one reason that businesses fail is because of lack of sales all the time. Okay. Remember, more conversations equals more sales. It's a numbers game. The more conversations you can have, the more money you're going to make. It's as simple as that. Most businesses don't talk enough with potential customers. They sit around and wait for it to happen, which is not the case. And if you think this is a lot of work, yes, it is, of course, messaging all of your new followers, asking a lot in stories, making loads of reels. But either you can do that or your competitor is going to do it and they're going to take all of your clients. So it's up to you. And once again, if you do this properly, if you give a lot in your content is engaging, it's entertaining, it's valuable, it builds up your trust and your brand, you won't even need to ask. It's just going to slowly transition to a sales conversation with these conversations, right? The law of reciprocity. People are just going to want to give back in return. And they're also going to be very, very ready to buy if you make the right type of content, as we've gone through in this whole roadmap. And also, of course, with messaging every new follower, it's very time consuming. I understand that. And starting conversations with comments, engaging, etc. But once again, remember, this is temporary, because if you stick to it, either A, you get so booked out that you can't take any more clients, or B, you make enough money to hire someone to do it for you, like an assistant who can reach out to every new follower. Okay, so that's the next step of being a business, is delegation, etc. But the whole point is you only have to do this extra work and this build up in social media once. You do it well, you figure out what works for you, you get enough clients to pay for what you need, and then you can transition from when you have more inquiries than time, right? Because right now you probably have more time than inquiries. When you have more inquiries than time, then you can get a little bit, you can filter a little bit more. You can have just your website form. You get more picky on what tattoos you want to do, or you charge higher prices, right? Because you have an influx of inquiries, you can get more picky, because you have more inquiries than time. Remember, so that's what we're getting to, and you only have to get to that place once. Okay, so messaging all of your new followers, posting stories, engaging with comments, etc. You'll do it for quite a while, but you'll only have to do it once. It's a lot of work, but you're going to reap the rewards tenfold, because think of the amount of seeds you plant with every conversation you have. And the positive experience they have. People will come back 6 to 8 months or a year's time from when you first spoke with them and say, hey, look, I'm ready to book now. It's the popcorn effect. It will all explode for you. It will feel like an overnight success, but that's the beauty of it. And you only have to do this hard work once when it comes to social media. And remember, you want to be continuously testing new hooks, new pieces of content, etc. Once again, I highly recommend making 3 to 4 reels, at least from one tattoo. Okay. And trying different hooks, right? Trying a visual hook, a verbal hook, a text hook, a curiosity hook, a kind of fear-based hook, etc. Right? So the first 3 seconds is the hook, as you remember from the other video. You want to test multiple, even if the rest of the reel is the exact same, because it's going to give you that data on what really resonates with your audience, what type of content they want to see more of, what topic. You have 3 or 4 reels that are made from one tattoo, but they're all different angles, right? Client testimonial, how you came up with the design, just the concept to completion, or straight to the finished piece. Like, what gets the most engagement with your followers? And then you want to make more of that type of content with your following tattoos. Okay. And remember, you might think that, oh, if I make 4 reels from the same tattoo and post it, people are going to get sick of it. No, your audience does not see your reels as much as you think. Remember how many people follow. It's very rare that you come up once, twice, 3 times. Okay. I highly recommend making as many as you can with each tattoo, posting them. Don't think that your followers are going to see all of them. They're not. for the most part, half of your followers don't even see any of them. Okay, there's a great story about Henry Ford, who was walking past his marketing department and he saw an ad that they were planning on running, and he walked past it every day for months until eventually he got so sick of it, and he went into the room and said, "Hey, when are we going to stop running this ad? I'm sick of seeing it." And they said, "Henry, we haven't even started running the ad yet." Okay, so you get sick of your content way before your audience even notices you. Okay, just remember that you get sick of your content way before your audience notices you. So get out of your head. There's that limiting belief that you can only make 1 or 2 reels and post them once or twice per tattoo. Go to some of the biggest tattoo artists in the world's page, Steve-O, Victoria Lee, PMT Sketch. See how many times they've reposted the same tattoos or the same reels, and see how well it's done for them. Trust me, it's going to work out. It's going to give you better data, which in turn is going to get you to have more conversations. And there you have it. That concludes the Social Media Content Mastery mini-series. If you stuck through and watched all the videos with my fat, pasty Irish head and accent, good stuff. The next step is to put all of this into action and to see the results. And if you want to learn and master social media in a bit more depth as a tattoo artist, this is only a 2.5-hour mini series out of 20 hours worth of content in our social media and photography roadmap. In this roadmap, we go in much more depth on psychology, making reels, photography and videography, editing techniques, high quality branding, gear equipment, marketing, and much, much, much more, as well as posting weekly tips and updates on social media and our live stream recordings of our mentorship student live streams, where we review and strategize with our mentorship students' Instagram profiles and content. So if this social media and photography roadmap is what you've been looking for, then you can check out the first link in the description to learn more about this roadmap and course. Also, if you want to be personally mentored on your social media by myself, Oscar, and Eduardo, as well as be personally mentored on your tattoo and design skills by Oscar, you can click the second link in the description and apply for our mentorship group. Just to note, we are very limited on the amount of applicants we can take on for the mentorship, so we will add all of the applicants to a waitlist and get back to you as soon as possible once the space opens up. On that note, stay sharp, stay learning, and I'll see you in the next mini-series.